Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. Title of the show is Buy in May and Stay and Play or Go Away. We're gonna look at, we've done a sell in May. We're going to talk about buy in May. And is it too late to buy? Would I be buying now? And if so, what levels? And if not, what levels would I be looking for? What is going to be coming up in the charts, some news, some stats, the one indicator that I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on, all that coming up and more. Before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people and does help, of course, support the channel, as does your wonderful comments that you take the time to write. I take the time to read them and respond. So let's start with, first of all, a couple of things that I've posted here. Bitcoin exchange reserves, if they start to move up again, it could be getting time to exit. Why? Why have I posted this? Because as you can see here, that this blue line is the exchange reserves. And as the exchange reserves have come down, the price has gone up. Why? Because, of course, there's not the sell pressure on exchanges to sell Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is non-exchanges, people can't sell it. They've got to move it onto exchanges to sell it. As you see here, a lot of on exchanges, and we saw drops down there as well. Now, you do see this little bit of a curve up, but don't worry, there was a little bit of a curve up there, a little bit of a curve up, a little bit of a curve up. There's been a little bit of a curve up. So I'll be keeping a keen eye on this Bitcoin exchange reserves for all exchanges. You can find this on Crypto Quant, and that is a very important metric to keep an eye on, because as soon as we see this start to reverse and probably make a higher high here, then I would think that these prices would begin to, fear would come into the market and people would start to risk off on that. Okay, so very interesting there for that. Also, just sharing here about the May, whether to sell in May or whether to buy in May, and essentially with if we look here at the stats here, the high for May on average is around the 19th. So generally, the high of the month for May is actually on the 19th. And in fact, the most bearish month is not actually May, it's actually September, interesting enough. But anyway, that's talk for another day. So post-halving, though, I just wanted to take it down to the years that we're in, like 2021, 2017, 2013. And the high was in on the 25th, the 24th, and then most recently, the 9th. Okay, so generally, again, the high for May generally tends to be later in the month. And on a bearish month, the high generally comes in around the 8th. And for a bullish month, the 28th. Okay, so May is kind of split. Out of those 14 years, about seven have been bullish, about 7 have been bearish. I also looked into when the low generally has been in, and usually that comes in fairly early for May as well. So very interesting. So I'm not sure May is going to be sell in May and go away. I'm not saying that there can't be pullbacks and corrections. And of course, any news item can come in and really just spoil the party. Black swan event like we saw come in with all the tariffs that came in that really dumped the stock market and the crypto market together there as well. Okay, so that's some interesting information there as far as May goes. And further to this, it's very interesting here about the quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. Now, right now, with quantitative tightening, we could be going into quantitative easing. And generally speaking, I thought this was fascinating that there was, if you look at this chart here, amazing that Bitcoin thrives and Bitcoin dominant pumps when there is quantitative tightening. And really, it's in an environment of quantitative easing that the altcoins will generally tend to run. And so really, a lot of that does depend on rate cuts, quantitative easing coming in, the money printer being turned back on for some bullish continuation for some kind of a bigger alt season, even though I don't think all altcoins are necessarily going to pump. I think a lot will end up failing, and actually we see here the number of failed crypto coins by year by CoinGecko which lists all the coins. You have there every year, there's more and more coins that fail. A whopping 1,821,000 coins have already died. In 2025, that's unbelievable. That's way more than all of 2024. So we have the big problem of too many coins, not enough liquidity, and people keep chasing these, they keep chasing the get rich quick, buy early and something will do a 1,000 or 20,000 X and they'll become wealthy very quickly. And of course, most of these coins just go down to zero there. All right, so let's jump over into, obviously, first of all, I want to look at Bitcoin dominance. You can see that it's just continuing to push up. Historically, we may see this get as high as 71%. That would crush most altcoins. Some altcoins have been thriving. I've been sharing about those altcoins, and I shared about those altcoins yesterday. So go and see yesterday's show. But what am I seeing here in the charts? First of all, we had a daily close where we hit that level that I told you we would look and need to break above, and we couldn't get above it at 97,900, okay? We really needed to get above that. Now, unfortunately, we're breaking below while we're testing this 618 level at 96,265. So the tomorrow will be the weekly close, and I really wanted to see a candle above this, at least the 618 area, but obviously the 90, this is the key area for me. This is where we broke down from, by the way. This is where everything broke down from. We had a lot there, and then this is the level, that we broke down from here at 96,265. So this is where I really want to see a weekly close above that. Of course, we did get the daily close above that, which I think is fairly positive, but that candle is a little bearish, as is that one there as well. Although this candle was a little bearish, but then we opened up higher there. So it'll be interesting to see what this candle does here. We do see the Lux Algo order block there. That will be a tough nut to crack because that's right up there at the Fibonacci at 99,500. 500,000 would be great, folks. And that's 100,000 level. And of course, many are saying, this could be a dead cat bounce. And it could well be a dead cat bounce. This could be a bear market rally. I don't think so. I think that I am going to be keeping a keen eye on the weekly stochastic RSI. I should be looking on the weekly time frame here. If we see the blue cross over the red, that's usually been a very good weekly exit. Now on the daily, it can be, but it does give off a lot more false signals. Okay, just be careful. It does give a lot more false signals, like over here, and then Bitcoin went higher. So that would be a signal I would look at, but I wouldn't bet the farm on that. I'm more looking at the weekly time frame. And for me, this unless we see something like this where it rolls over, then that would be a signal to get out of positions. But you can see it's quite far from that happening. Like I said, I'll update if I do exit the market or if I do think something's happening. But I really am looking at that weekly time frame there. Okay, so what else are we looking for here for Bitcoin? What could we see happen in May? We don't think we're going to get those rate cuts. And so I think that's already priced in. So I don't think that will be a surprise. They'll just keep them as they are, and then all eyes will be on June. But I do think the CPI is going to be very important if that comes in hot. Obviously that will fuel the prediction markets that there won't be any rate cut in June and possibly not July. However, if inflation comes down, then I think the market will start to price in that there could be possibly inflation. But I think the Fed wants to see how this tariff situation plays out, number one. And then number two, I think they also want to see, okay, is this going to affect inflation, and are we going to see inflation start to come back in, and they don't want to cut too early, okay? So I think this is what's going on with the Fed. This is why there's a bit of a delay. The market currently is pricing in 4 rate cuts for the year, so that might come in quarter 3 and quarter 4, of course, and not in quarter 2. We'll just see what shakes out in regards to that. But you can see my targets to the upside. Bull flag pattern that we had here, it broke out of the bull flag there. It's coming back for a retest there. Now we could come back in and just go down, and that was just a little bit of a fake out there. But currently this bull flag pattern that I identified, I think it was yesterday or the day before show, around here, that did break out, and we have seen a breakout to the upside. And the target to the upside is that 104, 105,000 level. So this is why I really do want to see that confirmed. If we see 97,900 broken and retested successfully, that for me confirms this bull flag, and then we should be heading up to 104,000. As far as what I think the top could be for Bitcoin and when I think that top could come in, I do think the top could possibly be I'm looking at the moment, not too far out, but I'm looking around this level here, somewhere around these 120, 122,000 level based on what I see today, okay? Now, obviously, a few months ago, I had upped that target to more around that 150, 140, 150 area. I've reduced that target now because I think we are just running out of time. And so because I do think this bull market will finish, I feel it will be finished sometime between July and September. I had the top in somewhere around August, September time. September for me usually is the biggest bearish month, but maybe they pull the pin a little bit early and the top comes in August, maybe even July, okay? And so, but generally July is a bullish month, but maybe it just finishes off with some big crescendo in July and dips down in August and just never really comes back. And then September continues to be bearish. But I would be looking that obviously, first of all, Bitcoin needs to break back above 100K and hold that as support. And then I think it's only a matter of time where this wick here gets eaten up. And we could possibly look at, there's been talk about this 113 level, and that could be possible. Also up at 122. There's a bunch of Fibonacci's around this area as well. The 1414 has 124. And so those would be the areas I would be looking at in that July, September timeframe. However, like I said, in markets, you really have to trade the probabilities. And the probabilities now is that we are in a bullish trend. We've made higher highs and higher lows. And so you trade the trend, and the trend is your friend until the end, and then you trade a new trend. So if we do break down and we start to create lower lows and lower highs, then it's likely the 109,000 top is probably in, and the cycle has been different than others. And maybe the 4-year cycle is over, and maybe Bitcoin now has an ETF is going to trade very much on the stock market timeline, and the altcoins are just going to. Bitcoin has decoupled from altcoins, of course, and it's never been more decoupled now than ever before. It's completely, there is a massive chasm between Bitcoin and altcoins, and so altcoins will have their own bear market, and then I don't expect Bitcoin to drop as much as it has previously, okay? Now, of course, we can't go without looking at the follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And you can see there's a lot of liquidity to the upside there, just millions of dollars. And that's why I like zooming out and going to these 6 months time frame of what ultimately the market makers are going to want to get. And you just see they keep plowing through the liquidity and leaving all of this behind. That leads me to believe that they're going to continue to come up and get them many billions of dollars that is up here at 100,000, and then go and get all of that that's up around this area here. And of course, by that time, there could be more to the upside. We'll have to wait and see. And then in the bear market, they'll come and get down there. Now, I'm not a market maker. I'm just trying to second guess the market maker. And so far, I've been pretty spot on. I did say that they would come down and get all this liquidity here. I did think that they would come and grab 73, and they didn't. So I got the whole move pretty much to about $500, $600. They came and got everything, and they had $600 more to move, and they would have got a few more billion. But I just feel that they can come and get that much later down here, and there'll be more that will have built up, all the people that have aped in long. But you can look now, it's starting to build below price. Now, look, they might surprise everybody and just stop here at 100,000 early, and then just come down and wipe all of that down to the downside. But, there is a lot still up there around these 107, 108, 109,000. But, you just never know what they're going to do. They didn't come down and grab 73. Maybe they won't come and grab 110, and maybe we will see an early bear market, and maybe it will really be a sell in May. But right now, I've got it as a buy in May. I wouldn't be buying at these levels, of course. I'm only looking to buy fear, and I don't want to buy greed. And currently, the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is in fear and greed index isn't greed. However, you can have some short-term trades, and I give those setups every day in the Tribal Trades Discord. There's a link below in the description for that. You can get signed up. I'm also on the Stocks with Josh Discord as well. I have my own Crown Traders channel in there, sharing education, insights, some of my trade setups, resources, and of course, entertainment, because this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. You're not entertained. And I hope you enjoyed the show today. And until the next episode, we've got the stock on Sunday tomorrow, or until I see you in the Discord, happy trading.